It's your boy GTS, and welcome to the third episode of Mastering the Mindset series, a series where we look at the emotions involved in the financial markets and specifically to trading because we are talking about trading, but it also applies to investing and anywhere really in the financial markets where you're putting your money on the line and emotions tend to come in. And the thing with emotions is we're never trying to get rid of them because you cannot unless you're a robot and you've been replaced by some sort of AI. But I'm guessing that's not the case, so that means that the emotions are going to play a part. The first and second episode, we're talking about greed and patience. And so today we're going to talk about fear. The thing with fear is fear plays a part in many ways, and in some ways it is closely tied with being patient or impatient, should I say. In actual fact, all these emotions in some way or another kind of not blend into one another, but they are somewhat related, right? But with that being said, fear is something which also has to be controlled and used in a proper way. And when it specifically comes to trading, what's funny about fear, and it's not something to be laughed at, is, let me give you an example. You get fearful before entering a position. You get fearful before buying a stock, right? All the negative emotions run through our mind, all the negative correlations of what might happen that are not a good outcome, right? So we buy the stock, it might fall off a cliff, we enter the trade, it goes the complete wrong way. The fact of the matter is that these possibilities are all probable, right? They can actually occur. However, if you get stopped at that, you will never enter the trade and you will never buy the stock. But what's interesting and coming back to being funny is that when you've entered into a trade or when you've bought that stock, you then get fearful that it's going to go the opposite way. So you enter, the trade's going your way, and then you cash out quickly. Why? Because you get fearful that the profits are going to slip away. So the same way you were fearful from entering, the fear continues and carries on into the trade, into buying the stock, because you've done the hard work, you've pushed the button, you've bought or sold, depending if you're trading or shorting a stock. And then all of a sudden, it's going in the right direction, but you're starting to think, this is going to turn. Fear's kicking in. Oh, I'm going to lose the money that you've not technically got, but you're already fearing losing something that you don't have. And this is an important thing to understand. And I think the thing with controlling emotions, it has to be some sort of practical guidance, right? Because it's understanding that you will always feel that fear. And it's basically recognizing when you feel it and counteracting it with evidence, statistics, right? Essentially, there's always going to be that chance it could go up or down. So therefore, you're balancing the fear with statistics. And the best statistics is experience, right? Because with experience, you'll see, that time I entered and it did go the right way. That time I entered and it didn't. And then over time, you can go back to these memories and use those experience, the statistics that you've gained to kind of counteract the fear. So the practical way of getting around the fear is with experience, but it's also knowing that, it doesn't necessarily going to go in the direction that you want. And that's not always going to be the case. But let's try and use an analogy because we all learn things in different ways. So practical way number one might be relating it to experience, statistics, knowing that, yes, it can go up or down, but it can also go up if you're going to buy as much as it can go down, right? And you're using probability and statistics to put the odds in your favor and calm that fear. But another thing is that there's always going to be a fear of losing in life, right? If I buy a restaurant tomorrow, there's a fear that the food doesn't get sold, I have waste. That's always going to be a fear. I open up a barber shop, the fear is that I'll lose a shop because not enough customers are going to come in. It doesn't matter what you're doing in this life. You could be buying a restaurant, opening a barber's, putting on your first trade. That's always going to be there. But statistically, people need their hair cut and people need to eat and an asset has to move up or down, right? So again, it's coming back to that, using probability and statistics to try and calm the irrationality of the mind, right? Because it's not that fear is irrational, but because of it's an innate behavior, it's a survival mechanism, it's going to be fed with irrationality, and we counteract that irrationality with rational thinking, statistics, and probability. And that is, in my experience, the best way to counteract fear. Now, obviously, coming back to experience, you have no substitute for experience, but with experience will come losses. So it's again accepting that, in this life, no matter what you do, there's going to be a customer who doesn't like your food. There's going to be a client you lose who doesn't come back for the haircut. There are going to be trades you put on that don't go your way. In actual fact, what I like to do is already accept in my mind that that trade might not go my way. Or if I own a restaurant, not all customers are going to like my food. And that's not you pandering to pessimism or setting yourself up for lose. It's just basing your expectations in reality. That's all it really is. So balancing fear comes to using probability statistics, battling the rational thoughts of the mind that feed into the fear, then also accepting that, being a realist in its simple terms, that nothing's ever going to go 100% your way. However, over the long term, if you tick all the boxes, then there will be counters to the losing side of whatever endeavor you have in life. So that means that you've cooked the fresh food, people will like it, they're going to come back. You cut good hair, they're going to come back. You do your homework and you place trades at the right time and not through emotions, then you will have winning trades. And that, in my opinion, is the best way. So with that being said, that is the third episode of Fear wrapped up. We're going to come back with another one. So we've covered patience, greed, and fear. And next week we'll be coming with a whole new emotion, maybe a bunch of emotions to try and help you along your financial journey, whether it be stocks, of course, or trading as we're talking about. But we'll keep the specifics of trading. That's me out. Let's go, GTS.